Welcome everyone. Thank you for stopping by. On today's tutorials, I'll be teaching you how to make ABACHA ENUGU. So in a plate, I already have my ngwa abacha. So this is my ngwa abacha. It's used to make abacha. I've added water to it to dissolve it. Next, we'll be needing our chopped onion for this recipe. Next, we'll be needing our salt for the abacha. Then we'll need our pepper, our scotch bonnet pepper, our crayfish. Next, we'll be using our ehuru and seasoning cube. It's very important in our abacha. Then we'll be using ogiri. This ogiri is very important in your abacha. Subsequently, I'll show you how to put the ogiri, how to use it. Next, we'll be using our Cameroon pepper. Cameroon pepper is very good in abacha, and our smoked fish. We've thoroughly deboned it and washed it, and we'll be using our ABACHA, also known as oba, but in my place we'll call it ABACHA. Next, we'll be using our utazi leaf. This utazi leaf is usually bitter, so I might not be using all of it. We might just be needing a little quantity. Then the chairman of the occasion, which is abacha. I have washed it and I have soaked it. I soaked it for a few minutes and took it out of the water so as not to let it get softened too much. So you be careful while soaking your abacha so it doesn't get too soft. You just soak it for like few minutes or seconds, then you take it out of the water. Next, we'll be showing you how to use all these ingredients to prepare the best abacha ever. So in this plate, I have my ngwo and I'll be mashing it with my fork. You use your fork to melt in the abacha and the ngwo so that it doesn't stay lumpy like that in your abacha, because it's almost the chairman of the occasion. Next, I'll fry my fish. My already washed fish, I'll fry it and get it ready for use for my abacha. So right now my abacha is already washed and see how clean it's looking. In a pan, I just added my groundnut oil and I'm frying my fish already. So my fish is already frying at this point. You don't fry your fish to be too dry because we are using it for our abacha. It doesn't need to get too dry. It's just for it to just be a little bit dried. Next, I'm done dissolving my ngwo. I'm done dissolving my ngwo at this point, so I'll just stir it, then sieve it. This cheesecloth is the one I use for my pap, but I like to use it to sieve my ngwo so as to avoid any form of sand going into my abacha. So you have to fold the cheesecloth into two just for extra carefulness. You see all of this down there is sand. You don't want this sand to go into your abacha because it's going to be a total mess. So see all the dirt that came out of the ngwo that I sieved. Now, after sieving your ngwo, you set it aside. In a clean pan, I'll just go in with my oil. Next thing, I'll go in with my palm oil. After adding the palm oil, you let it get hot a bit. Not to bleach, actually. It's not like you're bleaching the oil. You're just going to let it get hot a bit. Then you go in with your onions at this point. Now, the reason why we fry our onions is to get that beautiful flavor out of it. Very important. In your onions, you put your onions, you fry it to get that beautiful flavor out of it. It's very important in abacha. Some of you might not be doing it, but if you've not been doing it, try it out and you thank me later. Then next, we'll go in with our habanero pepper. Of course, we aren't going to eat our pepper raw. So at this point, we are going to add in our habanero pepper. We'll go in with our seasoning cube and salt. Then we'll fry it with the onions. We'll fry everything together with our onions to bring out the beautiful taste and flavor out of it. Now, endeavor to fry not like you're frying it to overcook. We are just going to fry it maybe to be half done. A little bit of crunchiness left in it. So we are going to fry it at this point. Now, we are just going to stir. Make sure you don't leave it to burn because the oil in it is not much. So we are just going to fry it. Don't leave it to burn. Just keep stirring it while it fries. Now, while we let that fry, While we let our onions fry, we'll show you at what it looks like when it's fried already. So at this point, our onions is already fried. Check the beauty out. This onions is giving what it should give. So at this point, the aroma coming from my kitchen is already giving. My neighbors are just knowing that things is going on in my kitchen. So now we are done frying our onions. We are going to put off the flame and get our onions down from the fire. Yes, so while we do that, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please, this is the very right time to do so. I'm Erica Choma, and on this channel I like to show you some of the tricks and recipes that is good for your African and continental dishes. So if you're just coming across my video for the first time, please do well to subscribe, share, comment, and like. It helps to move my channel to the permanent side. Thanks a lot for coming around. Let's move back. So now I've added my oil in the pan. Next, I'll be going in with my ngwo. So I have already sieved my ngwo. You see, it's looking like egg. So I've sieved my ngwo. I'll be pouring it into the pot and just stir. So while you pour your ngwo into the pot, you don't pour all at the same time. You pour it bit by bit, just to be able to gauge the quantity you need for the recipe, so that you don't go pour everything at once and then the ngwo will now end up being more than the oil. Will become too much for the oil. So while you pour, you observe. If it's not okay, then you could add. Now you stir this. You stir it thoroughly. Don't take your hands off it, because when you take your hands off it, it makes it look lumpy and make your ngwo look like pap. We don't want that. Your ngwo is going to end up looking like starch. We don't want that. So when you pour your ngwo, you stir, you keep stirring. It's going to take let's say you're going to stir it for like 5 to 10 minutes. So you're going to stir it thoroughly until it gives you this consistency. Now you check out the consistency and see that your ngwo has loosened up. Yes, your ngwo has to lose up for you to know that your ngwo is now due for you to add your next ingredient. So at this point, I've been stirring thoroughly, and check out the consistency. It's beginning to lose up, and the color has to be orange color. It's going to look orange color for you to know that your ngwo is ready, because you don't want one side to be showing palm oil and one side is showing ngwo. You don't want that in your abacha. So you have to stir thoroughly. At this point, we are done stirring our ngwo. Next, we'll be going in with our ogiri. Our ogiri igbo. So when you go to buy your ogiri in the market, make sure you tell them to give you the fresh ogiri, because you don't want the one that is already having maggots in it, and some are not original. So see how beautiful that looks. So we'll add our ogiri into our ngwo. Now ogiri is very important in abacha. It gives it this beautiful taste and aroma. Yes, in fact, you can't miss out on this. If you're making the real abacha enugu state, the abacha enugu itself, you must add your ogiri. Ogiri is very important. So at this point, we've added our ogiri. So you gauge it depending on the quantity of what you're making. That's what when you're going to gauge your abacha. So at this point, I've added my ogiri. I'm just going to stir. I'm going to stir it thoroughly. Make sure you're not leaving any particle unturned. Make sure you're not leaving any stone unturned inside this pot, because at any point in time you did not stir your ogiri thoroughly, you see it's very lumpy, and you're just going to be chewing into ogiri when you're chewing your abacha, and we don't want that. We want everything to correspond with the abacha. So we are going to stir it thoroughly, and make sure we melt everything into our ngwo. Yes, so while we do that, you notice that whatever you add into your ngwo would thicken the ngwo. Yes, as you add your ingredients, the ngwo thickens. As you add your ingredients, your ngwo will thicken. That's how it should be. Don't get scared and be like, oh, your ungo is spoiled. No, that's how it should be. Anything you add, it gets the ungo to thicken up. So at this point, we are going to stir, stir, stir. Now we are done. We are almost done stirring the ungo. Next, we'll be going in with our crayfish. So we've grounded our crayfish and we just pour it in and stir it thoroughly. At this point, make sure you stir. And we are also doing this off flame. Yes, make sure you stir your ungo off flame. We are not cooking our ungo. Now I've added my seasoning cube. Next, I'll be going in with my ehuru. This ehuru helps to give your abacha the best fragrance ever. Did I say fragrance? The best aroma ever. So this will be going in with a little bit of our grounded ehuru. So this ehuru, we use it to cook our pepper soup. We use it to cook our nkwobi, isiewu. It helps to give it a very nice fragrance aroma. So at this point, we are done. We are almost done with our dry ingredients. So we'll just stir, stir, stir. Make sure you stir every corner of the pot thoroughly so that nothing will be left unturned there. Now that we are done mixing, we'll be going in with our next ingredients, which is Cameroon pepper. Now, this Cameroon pepper is also known as Osa Abacha. Yes, this black pepper is also known as Osa Abacha in my place. So it's called Cameroon pepper. So we'll just add it there and stir. Please, you gauge your pepper as to know when your pepper becomes too much. So you don't go and add habanero pepper and Cameroon pepper and your food now becomes too peppery. You can't add what you can tolerate. So at this point, I'll go in with my salt. Basically, we are adding almost everything we need to add at this point. So we'll just stir, 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 stir. So we'll keep stirring. When we are done with that, you have to be patient when you're stirring your ungo. You don't just stir and be like, I'm tired, and you just leave it. So you make sure that you be very patient with your ungo while stirring it. So at this point, it's time to go in with the chairman of the occasion. All welcome the chairman of the occasion, which is our abacha, aka tapioca. So now I'll be going in with my abacha, tapioca to be precise. We'll add all of it because I'll be making a huge quantity though, because there are lots of people waiting to eat this abacha. So I'll be going in with lots of quantity. So we'll just stir. We stir and stir. So at this point, we'll be letting go of our spatula. Yes, our business with the spatula is over. This is the time to use our bare hands to stir this thing. So make sure you thoroughly wash your hand though. Don't go and put jam in our food. So next we'll be going in with our fried onions. So you remember we fried these onions with pepper, salt, and seasoning cube. So we are going to go in with our abacha fried onions. So if you've not been incorporating this fried onion into your abacha before, just give it a trial and thank me later, because this gives your abacha a different vibe altogether. Yes, if you've not been incorporating it, you just give it a trial. With this fried onion in your abacha can never go wrong. Yes, so at this point, we're going to use our bare hands to stir, stir, stir. You don't need to use your spatula at this point to stir, because you remember our ungo is still under the pot. So if you use your spatula, you might not be able to get all that out. So all you need to do is just wash your hand thoroughly and use it to stir. Stir until everything mixes together. So while stirring abacha, you just have to be patient with it. Abacha is not something you stir in a rush. Yes, you don't rush it. You just settle down, take your time, and stir. Stir your abacha thoroughly. Make sure you scrape out under the pot. Get out everything under the pot. You see, some places are still white. You see, that's why you need to use your hand. If I was using spatula now, I might not be able to get that out. So make sure you get you use your bare hands to stir it thoroughly. So now at this point, my abacha is becoming abacharing. It's beginning to give all and what it should give. At this point, check this beauty out. My abacha is giving nothing but 100% at this point. So check it out. At this point, you stir thoroughly. Now, this is the time where you test. At this point of stirring abacha, you have to test it to ensure that you don't need to add any other thing, say like salt, seasoning cube, or even pepper, or even oil. Yes, so this is the point where you need to, while you stir it, you test it to ensure that nothing needs to be added. So now that we are done stirring our abacha, in this bowl we have our palm oil. Now, next thing to do is to go in with our leftover ungo. Yes, the ungo that was left from the abacha, we are going to use it to make this next one. So now I've added my palm oil and I'm adding my ungo. At this point, you stir thoroughly. You remember, don't add all your ungo at once. You add them bit by bit. So while we stir that, what we are trying to make now is our opaka. We are trying to make ungo for our opaka, because you don't just leave your oba like that. We need to make a sauce for it. So let's call this sauce. We are making sauce for our opaka. So now that we are mixing our ungo, we just stir until you get the desired consistency. After getting our desired consistency, at this point, next we'll now go in with our next ingredients. Now, while stirring this, don't let go of it. You have to stir it until because from initial stage when you start stirring it, it's going to look a little bit thick like starch. So but while you stir frequently, when you stir consistently, you'll notice that the ungo starts to loosen up. It's now going to become a little bit watery. Now next we'll go in with just a cube of seasoning cube. Yes, just one seasoning cube. Then we'll add our osa abacha, aka Cameroon pepper. You can't miss this pepper when you're making your abacha. In fact, without this pepper, I don't know what we are doing in abacha. Next, we'll go in with our salt. So while you add your salt, you stir. While you add your salt, you stir. So make sure you're able to gauge your salt, because we know you've used some salt in making our abacha. Now we're adding another salt here. So gauge your salt so you don't get your food too salty. So at this point, we are just going to stir all our ingredients in, all our dry ingredients. We've added it. Then you test it. At this point, test it. Check if you need to add something to your ungo. After we've stirred it, then we'll go in with our opaka. Now, I have washed the opaka, and that's why there's water in it. I just washed it. So you wash your opaka and take it out. Make sure you don't pour the water inside though. You have to be careful not to pour your water inside, so that your ungo will not go and become watery like pepper soup. So you see that? Check this beauty out. So after we are done, we are going to stir it. And when we are done stirring it, we'll just put it on fire to heat a bit. Yes, we are going to put our ungo on the fire just to heat up a bit. Let it not just be there, because sometimes this oil can be sticky in when you're eating it. So you just put it to heat up a bit, and afterwards we are going to set it aside, then go back to our abacha. Yes, we're going to go back to our abacha. So at this point, we are done stirring the abacha. So I just put the abacha on a low heat. I'm putting my abacha on a low heat for it to just heat up a bit. I can't imagine eating cold food like that. So I'm just going to put my abacha on fire. So while I let it heat up a bit, then I'll show you the final result. So we are not cooking our abacha, it's just to warm it. Let it just get a little bit of heat. Not like you're cooking it like rice. So while you do that, you stir so that your abacha is not going to burn. So while we are done with that, now we are going to see the final result.